In the next stage of building the Dinky Dino, we are going to finally cut out the main body panels, the sides and an end, and then the front will be done separate. So I'm not going to show you cutting plastic, it's only putting a ruler, scoring a few times and snapping, but you've got to really concentrate, so you can't do it on camera because you don't want to waste plastic, and plus it's easy to slip with a knife. So let's get some plastic cut. There we go, the sides are cut out. I've slightly reshaped on the disc sander. First time I've used it. Not great with plastic because of the, even with it turned quite down, it just seems to melt it. So, but I think they're looking good. We've got a rear panel already pre-cut. Now it's time to sort of measure up and try welding it on. Now I've got some rough guidelines to the front for the sides, but the back is the crucial part. We've got to get that really right. So let's get it on with some plastic weld. This is the only trouble, is I'm out of room, as you can guess. I took the rear panel off because I don't know how to weld that in place when I fit this. So all I'm going to do is hold it on for now and line up the lines I've made. I don't mind moving it back a bit and then forwards because we want to get it right to the back. Now I've got it in front of me. I'm just going to have a look with a square, and that's pretty good. Now it's square, I will weld the other side into place. Let that set up and then we'll look see how off it is. Now we're going to try and put the other side on, and I'm only going to roughly do it at the bottom and hopefully it adheres. And then once that's done I can sort of manoeuvre it around a bit. This is where the line comes in a little bit useful. Trying to get it to go into place. Then I'm going to tack it at the top. We just tack on the other side. I think I'm winning now. It's like I said, you've seen it all the way through, so it's going to be quite long. And that will work as a gauge as well, what I'm doing now. It doesn't have to fit down the bottom as long as it fits at the top. Does that make sense? So that's going to be something like that welded in here, just below the surface. Now, much huffing and puffing later, I've gauged it all the way through, and that's near enough. That should hopefully fit at the top at the back, and that will weld into place when I've got the correct one, and that will be the base bracket for the gun. See, looks nice. Now the front panel, I've been thinking of how to do it. I might make it with more than one bit of plastic, because what I was thinking is if I make the down piece first separate and then make a piece off with the peaked up, hopefully. So first of all I'm going to cut that bit of plastic and get that in, and there'll be another part out of the way, and plus it will hold the front in place. Now I've made the panel and I've scored it and split it so it's snapped across the back, but it will be reinforced, but that's where the roof will sit over or onto, so I'm not too fussed. Now I'm going to weld this panel in, and I'll put the strengthener and then you'll see it when it's done to that point. So I think it'll be easier to sort of take my time on this, because I've got to try and get it all to sort of line up. But it's not too bad, it's in line, which is good, and it's the correct shape. So let's get welding. Now the panel's welded in each side, and behind there's a strengthener, and this is what I'll weld it to hold it at 90 degrees where we put the split in it, and that will stop it splitting completely. So all we have to do is put some plastic weld in and clamp it. Pull it together so it roughly tacks, and then we'll probably bead it across, and then all it needs is a couple of clamps until it goes off. And now that front piece is at a proper 90 degrees as we need it, but you won't see the top part of it. It's only a former, a rough former, because the roof will sit well above this onto this edge here. So there'll be another, it'll be hidden because there'll be another piece slipped in front. Once I start making the framework, I've still got to work that out, but I can't do that until the 3D printed part is done and welded in the back in the correct place. I know there's an equal former to this here, put in butted against it, and that'll increase the strength. But as I add strips to the side, it will take out this wobble. We've got to get rid of that. Now the final part of this video, like I said, is putting this frame in. This is to where the gun will mount. I've sort of done it on CAD. It's 3D printed, but once it's welded into place it'll be really good, because it adds structure to the rear and holds it really square, and that was the part of the idea for the design. So, and then once that's glued into place, I've done this wall. It's done to the same shape and height as the front, it should be. Well, I said that, but it's not. So why is that different? Well, I've made it wrong, so I'm going to have to make a new one. Not a good start with that, but I'm going to get the rear frame in and remake this and try and work out where I went wrong on my measurements. You know, that is strange, but we'll see, we'll get it right. There we go, I remade that panel correctly this time. It's funny how you can measure things, use the same measurements and somehow do it totally wrong. So you should always be very careful. But that's sort of the lay on point for the roof. I'll probably file off the side to point so the roof fits down nicely. But I'm still thinking, you know, when you build you've got to think. So this is as far as I'm going, this part. It needs 24 hours to cure before I can go forward, so it's got the strength. But then the next stage will probably be doing the roof, and that will be the sort of the main body structure out of the way, and then it'll be on to more designing detailed parts after that.